Hi everyone, Shake Bar-Tal is here for the 485 Sports Report. Ladies and gentlemen, the regular season for the Carolina Panthers is ended. So is 2018. So first I want to wish everyone out there a happy new year. Now, the Panthers finished the 2018 season with a record of 7-9. They did not qualify for the playoffs. Now, it is true, ladies and gentlemen, that entering week 9, the Panthers were 6-2. However, despite being 6-2, they had a lot of question marks, which unfortunately they didn't correct them, and it caught up to them following week 9 and for the remaining of the regular season. So, an offense through 8 games. The Panthers played great. They played outstanding, except you can say week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. The offense wasn't that well, didn't play that well. Dallas did a pretty good job of limiting the Panthers' explosive offense. But from that point forward, the Panthers' offense was outstanding. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the defense, which is shocking, week 1 against Dallas, they played great. But following that, it was a combination of lack of effort, lack of play calling, inability to get to the quarterback, inability to stop the run, bad penalties. And it was basically like a snowfall, like a big giant snowball that fell from the sky, or went down the mountains, I should say. Went down the hill, went down the mountains. So, the Panthers' defense wasn't good, as I mentioned. They couldn't get sacks. They couldn't stop the run. They had silly penalties. They had bad play calling, and it all caught up to them. Week 2 against Atlanta. I'm sure people don't want to remember that. And I don't either. But they gave up a lot of points. Tevin Coleman, the Falcons running back, had a career game against the Panthers' run defense, which gave up over 200 rushing yards, which is unacceptable and unheard of in the NFL. Week 3 against Cincinnati Bengals. The defense played somewhat better, but they still gave up big chunk of yard in the air. They didn't do a good job of stopping the run, but the offense was better in that game. They won that game. The Panthers won. Then week 4, jumping on. Week 4, because week 3, the Panthers had a bye week, only bye week, which typically you don't see it in the NFL having a bye week. After week 3, you don't typically have it, but that was the case for the Panthers. So week 4, against the New York Football Giants. At the time, entering week 4, the Giants were winless. But yet, how the defense played, one would presume that the Giants already had at least 2 wins coming to the game. They scored 14 unanswered points, and they took the lead, and it had not been for Graham Gano, spectacular, amazing, 64-yard kick, with 5 seconds left in the game, the Panthers would have lost that game. But they won. But the defense gave up 30 points. Following that, the next game, week 5, at Washington, the Panthers lost 27-21, and I'm sure some might say, oh, Shaked, the offense didn't play good enough. No, the offense played all right, but the defense, again, gave up big yardage, too much separation for the wide receiver. They allow that. They couldn't get into Alex Smith fakes. They couldn't stop Adrian Peterson. So they lost. Then the following week at Philadelphia against the Super Bowl champ, the Panthers gave up 17 points. They looked really, really bad through 3.5 quarters. Then the light switch went on. They won that game, 21-17. Following that, at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Panthers were in a shootout at one point. They had a 27-point lead. Everyone thought, oh, the game is over. But no, the defense gave up point after point. Panthers hold on to a 40-27 win. And then you go to Pittsburgh, and you know the story. They gave up 52 points. They lost 52-21. Then they went to Detroit. They lost 21-20. Following that, they lost at home to Seattle by 4 points, 17-13. They lost to Tampa Bay. They lost to Cleveland. They lost to New Orleans at home, a game that it felt like they had a chance to win. Then they lost to Atlanta at home, final home game of the season. And then on the road, they won Week 17 in a meaningless game against a reserve Saints teams who had nothing to play for. So defense had a big problem. The only time, ladies and gentlemen, only times this season that the defense for the Carolina Panthers gave up 17 points or less is exactly 4 times. The game against Dallas, the game against Philadelphia, and the 2 New Orleans Saints games, which is bizarre because the Saints, Monday Night Football, Week 15, had their first team playing, but yet the Panthers held the Saints to less than 17 points. So the defense was a problem. Inability to get to the quarterback was a major problem. The sacks number for the Panthers this year weren't good, ladies and gentlemen. I'm being polite. They weren't good whatsoever. The only guy for the Panthers with at least 8 sacks for this season, 8+ sacks, was Mario Addison. The rest had between 3.5 to 4.5. That is not enough. And I'm talking about the entire defense. The linebacker, the defensive end, defensive tackle, K1 Short, Dentari Paul, Vernon Butler were a non-factor this season. When your defensive tackles is not getting the job done, it's going to impact the entire defense. Now, oddly enough, the secondary for the Panthers this season, in my opinion, didn't play that bad. Sure, at times they gave a big chunk of yard, but again, I blame it more on the Panthers' inability to get to the quarterback than the secondary per se. Also, the Panthers had a bad problem of managing clock. They wasted so many timeouts when they didn't need to. And they had bad clock management problem. So yes, it wasn't a good season. And it wasn't because of injuries. It wasn't because of not practicing indoor. I mean, Week 9, sure, Cam Newton took a hit to the shoulder. And from then, Panthers start losing games. Up to that point, the offense covered up for the defense, but the defense was the main reason why they lost, and they didn't make the playoff. But luckily, it's off-season, and so much can change. And I will keep everyone updated on the Carolina Panthers in the off-season. This is Shake Bar-Tal for the 485 Sports Report.